Hello everyone, this is Catherine Fullerman, and I am just going to record some rewriting. I am reworking my book 1 of the Tales of the Woven series. Book 1 is The Dragon's Son, and since I wrote it, I've grown a lot in writing and everything, and it definitely needs a rewrite. So, that is what I have been working on. This is chapter 1. I've already finished the prologue rewrites, and which are fantastic, let me tell you. So far I'm 6 pages into the chapter 1 rewrites. I'm not planning to really rewrite the entire book, just mostly buff it up, fix it up, flesh it out a little more, because the original writing isn't really that horrible. It just needs more story, more dialogue changes and whatnot. So yeah, that's my primary focus. The biggest edits or rewrites are going to be the first 6 chapters probably, and then the rest I will just kind of be adding stuff to it. So, so far these first 6 pages that I've rewritten they're fairly different from the original. Not too different. Mostly what I've done, if you have read my first book already, is I've just added a lot more dialogue. I took out all the info dumping. I had a lot of info dumping about the race of people and their history in the book, The Woven. I had a lot of info dumping where the main character, Keegan, is just thinking about their history and stuff while he's waiting for someone to come out, while he's waiting for a friend to come out and play with him. And, you know, he's like 13 years old. So I took out all that info dumping and all the retrospection, the thought, and I exchanged it with dialogue. And how I did this is I went and added in his little sister, which the entire book, if you pull back and look at the entire book is about him trying to find his little sister. If you've read it, you'll understand what I mean. So, that's almost what the entire book is about, or his goal throughout the entire book is to find his little sister. And I realized, whenever I realized that I really did not have a lot of... I didn't give the readers much time to grow attached to his little sister, Alia. So, whenever I took out the retrospection, the thought parts, whenever I took out the thinking, I replaced it with conversation between him and his little sister. This provided the opportunity to get more insight, not only on his little sister, get to know her personality, but it really also brought out a lot of Keegan's personality that will just really help him blossom later in the book. I think you already get a feel of what kind of a hero he's going to be like. And I think it also, a lot of people have complained that Keegan is a really stupid, he's an idiot. You know, it's just, and I don't make any bones about it, he really is, he's an idiot. So, but with this, how I've rewritten chapter 1, you see that it's not so much that he's stupid or that he just doesn't really think things through, which he doesn't, but it's his personality. He's a doer, not a thinker, forgiveness is better than permission type person. And that really comes out in chapter 1 in a childlike way. It makes him and his sister very endearing, the conversation that they have. So you already get an attachment for these two characters within the first 2 pages. And then I introduce his best friend, and it does not take long at all with the added dialogue to get attached to him either, which is something I really wanted to do for malicious purposes, because I am a cruel author and I like to make my readers cry. So anyway, I just work on with the dialogue. I'm able to wrap several things into one package. I'm able to fill in the reader on little bits of the Wovland history, these people, who these kids are, where they come from. I'm also able to fill in the readers at the same time about these specific characters, their personalities, how they think, how they act, how they're related. And so not only do I fill in a few little blanks between the prologue and chapter 1, but still leave enough as a mystery, I also help the reader grow attached to these young people. And I didn't have that in the original chapter. The first chapter. It was just a lot of thought, and you kind of, if you were anything like me, you just glossed over it really fast just to get an idea of what had happened. It's like, oh look, info dumping, okay, that's nice. Look over it really fast, great, now I know what happened, moving on with the story. Which, that's why I kind of like info dumps, because I can gloss over them, get an idea, and then move on with the story. But if you want to maintain a little mystery in the book and have your readers think, you don't want the info dumping. So, I'm at the part, if you have read the book, I'm at the part where the kids see the mysterious rider garbed in black. Cliche. Nah, not at all. And I decided, instead of making him an absolute creep and a jerk that just like shoves the kids around and then leaves after his horse dumps him off, I added a little more mystery, in that was something I was kind of proud of, and for the moment I'm proud of it. I may take it out later, depending. Writers can be fickle. But his horse, I had Keegan watching his horse, and his horse spooks at something in the Dragon's Forest, which is a mile or 2 from where the kids are playing. They're all playing in the meadow. And I didn't have this before. But I had the writer go to leave, and Keegan is kind of watching him, and then he sees a glimmer of gold in the Dragon's Forest, and then the horse spooks at it. People who have read the book maybe kind of squealing right now. I know I squealed whenever I wrote that. It's like, oh, I know who that is. So if you haven't read the book, then it will probably click to you later in later chapters. Maybe chapter 3 or 4, I think it is. That it's like, oh. So I am also planning to build on that a little bit, since I'm kind of rewriting that. And, yeah. So if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. A glimmer of gold in the Dragon's Forest, and something huge moving in there. Okay, yeah. So, okay. And then instead of the guy, once his horse dumps him and everything, the kids all go up and check him out, and he kind of fixes himself up a little bit. In the original story, I had him like shove the kids off, not even hardly talk to him, and get on his horse and ride off. And clicked to me, okay, 1, it takes a little longer for horses to calm down than that when they spook at something. Horses, they're special. And next, it's like that draws a lot of suspicion to that guy. He is a suspicious character if you haven't read the book, but he doesn't want to be seen by these kids as suspicious. And then it got me to thinking also, why was he watching the kids play? Because in the original story and in this, it's quite obvious he's watching the kids play. And it clicked to me later in book 2, and definitely in book 3, when a certain character's backstory comes together, you'll understand why. So he is watching the kids play for a very specific reason. So I thought, okay, I can work with this, and have him try to cast off their suspicions at the same time as trying to find out information for his purpose, for the reason why he was watching the kids. He has a very specific reason. And so instead of just brushing all these kids off and getting the heck out of Dodge, he's going to try to cast suspicion off and probe them a little bit and learn about the kids. So that worked out very well, and it makes me hate this character even more, because he's kind of nice to the kids in a creepy way, and then later, yeah. Okay, so that is where I'm at right now. Also realized this particular character, I had very little description of him in the original story, which is kind of, whenever I first started writing, I didn't like to put in descriptions. I wanted to leave that to the reader's imagination. But I have since found out a lot of readers, well, don't have a lot of imagination, and they get flustered when there's not descriptions. So I decided to add a description. Yeah, so he has, I put in what he kind of looks like and everything. There it is, over here. Cloak fell off his head to reveal a handsome man with ashen black hair and gray eyes, but a jagged, deep scar crawling from his left temple, down his left eye, across his nose, and finally ending on his right cheek. The eye that the scar crawled across had a cataract in it, and his eyelid was pinched funny, overall giving him a sinister look. But you don't need an and, just a sinister look. Expression. Sinister, I think I like look better. So we'll change it to that. Probably very different. For those readers with imagination, they probably imagine this original character as something, you know, a really ugly, hideous guy to look at. But he's not. Who he works for, the lady that he works for, would not keep an ugly guy around. Just saying. So, I'm gonna check a text message real quick. Alright. Nothing huge to worry about. So now we are going to try to continue on with this. Okay. So, have the guy probing, which for those of you who may have read my book, this is very different. So I'll start here just to get myself into the mood. Saul moved to help him, but he held a hand up quickly. "Don't touch me, please. I'm just fine. Thank you." Once again, his tone was kind, but it felt forced and unnatural. "Can we get you anything?" Saul asked. "No." "Can we help you with anything?" Tori spoke up. "No," the man growled, but plastered a smile on his scarred face. I caught your horse," Keegan muttered. The man's gaze snapped to Keegan. His eyes sharp and harsh, despite the smile he wore on his lips. "Thank you, little boy." Keegan suppressed a shudder and swallowed. "Are you here to see my Uncle Boyden?" The man's expression changed. And he studied Keegan for a moment. No, actually I was just leaving. I delivered something to your uncle. A message, yes, and I was just leaving, but stopped to watch all of you play for a moment. It was an excellent ball game you played. He smiled again, then slowly got to his feet and held his hand out for the horse's reins. Do you have any cousins playing here today? Keegan looked at the man's gloved hand and slowly passed him the reins. No, I don't have any cousins. My uncle never married. Oh? What about your aunt? Keegan looked up at the man, shaking his head. I don't have an aunt. Oh, really? The man studied Keegan for a moment longer, then moved past him. Well, I must go. I finished my job here and must move on before dark. He mounted his horse. Don't let my embarrassing accident interrupt your little game any longer. Please continue. You were winning, after all. With that, he once again turned his horse toward the west and cantered away, never looking back. That was strange, Saul said as everyone watched the man leave. Keegan and Tori both exchanged glances, nodding in agreement. So, in the original, I have all the children were feeling uncomfortable now and began to disperse toward the village, except Keegan, who stood looking after the black rider with a thoughtful expression, cold chill slowly creeping up his spine. I do want to change that. Because, let's just be honest, Keegan doesn't really think a lot. Thoughtful expression. Very rarely does that cross poor Keegan's face. So I need to think how I want to go about this. I don't think at this point there's more conversation than what I just read. And I don't think at this point it would occur to the kids at all that this man was spying on them. At all. So I think I would take all of that out. And maybe I've got an idea. See, what message do you think he brought your uncle? Saul turned to Keegan and inquiring about his eyebrows raised inquiringly. Keegan shrugged. Maybe someone needs a dragon slayer? All the boys nodded. Let me see. How would you express? Ah, yeah, a nod. All the boys nodded, content with that explanation. Oh, I did spell it right. Cool. So a lot of this is probably going to change later. I mean, not change, just be polished later in an editing process. So right now I'm just trying to focus on writing it. Not be sloppy with my writing, but just get it done. Why does it not like nodded? Oh, it wants to take out the okay. Don't listen to Microsoft Word. It doesn't know what it's talking about. Okay. What message do you think he brought your uncle? Saul turned to Keegan, his eyebrows raised inquiringly. Keegan shrugged. Maybe someone needs a dragon slayer? All the boys nodded, content with the explanation. Well, he's gone now, so can we continue playing? My team was winning. Tori rubbed his hands together excitedly. No, together in anticipation. So, looked at the shorter boy, then at the sky. I think we've got some time left to play. But the evening, I don't know. I think we've got some time left to play. But we'll need to end it soon before we're all called to dinner. How about, alright. And then, if we won, we will just let me kick that ball into my goal. Then we can all go home. How about, well then, in that case, I'll just go kick that ball into my goal. Really quick. We can all go home. So Tori turned and charged for the ball. Lying in the grassy field. Let me see. Keegan was right on his heels in an instant. Oh no, you don't. That ball is mine. That was something else through the game. I took a moment in between all the dialogue earlier between Keegan, Tori, and Alia. Took a little break and put in some action, very quickly describing the ball game, and not so much the actual playing of it, but I was using it as an opportunity to detail to the reader a little more about Keegan and Tori's individual personalities without getting way too descriptive or anything, keeping it fun and lighthearted. So it quickly tells the reader that Keegan is kind of a controller and he doesn't trust anyone else with the ball or anything, and he wants to keep it himself. And then Tori, on the other hand, is very calculated, and he's working on wearing Keegan down. And once he gets Keegan worn down, then he takes the ball. And Keegan doesn't really work well with his team, so they have to work around him if they're going to win. So I really liked how that came together. That kept it fun. Didn't give you a lot of personality or info dump on it. But it, in the back of the reader's mind, as they're reading through that, they will get a feel of Keegan's character. And it'll totally line up with how brash and stuff he is later in the book. So, and I didn't have that before at all. It took you several chapters just to kind of get into Keegan's character before. So that has definitely changed. By 7 pages, 6, 7 pages in, you already very much have a good feel for what Keegan's character is. So that's a win. Okay, so where do I want to go from this? Alright, well then in that case I'll just go kick that ball into my goal really quick, then we can all go home. Tori turned and charged for the ball line in the grassy field. Keegan was right on his heels in an instant. Oh no you don't! That ball is mine! So I'll just go ahead and delete this. Always click save. Always click save. Since I have this better laptop, one of my old laptops would constantly croak with Microsoft Word and I would always lose stuff. I haven't had that problem with this laptop, but it's good to get in the habit. Click the save button. Just every couple of sentences, like 2 sentences or so, 2 paragraphs. I wouldn't even push it past 2 paragraphs. 2 sentences, save. And you can make it easier if you hit Control S. Yeah, you can save fast. So as you're typing, just occasionally hit Control S and maybe do it 2 or 3 times just to be safe. And then every time after you get done with some editing, you close out the document, upload it to a cloud somewhere or a flash drive or an SD card or something. Save your progress because you never know when your stupid computer is going to die. Speaking from experience. Okay, so where am I gonna go from here? Oh, no you don't, that ball is mine. Okay, so I think I'll put in have them like playing for another few minutes, and then I think, let me see, oh yeah, I could do that. I'll have them play for another few minutes. I'm gonna have one side or the other probably win or come close. I could have it where maybe Keegan and Tori slam in the middle, lose the ball, and they're just kind of stunned for a moment, and then they'll hear laughing and clapping, and that's when Keegan will realize that his dad and his brother have returned home from dragon hunting and they're watching him, and that would make him super happy and he'd forget about the game. Okay, so to craft that, the game continued for several more minutes, as heated as it, let me see, yeah, word crafting, it's like painting. Stop. Okay, the game continued for several more minutes. Yeah, as heated as it was before. With the children completely absorbed in getting the ball to their goal. Oh man, that's gonna really need polished up. Don't edit, keep writing, don't edit. Do not edit. I will not edit, I will not edit. Absorbed in getting the ball to their goal. Right between Keegan and Tori for dominance. Okay, before the children completely absorbed in the game. How about that? Fight between Keegan and Tori for dominance of the ball creased until they were stepping on each other's toes, kicking one another in their attempts at shins together as they vied for, as they desperately try to keep the ball from one another. I'll clean that up later. Finally, the two of them both kicked the ball at the same time, tangling their legs together. Kick the ball at the same time, causing it to pop, to jump upwards and slam them both in the face. I'm trying to think of all my delightful ball experiences. I am not a very good ball player. Always end up with that stupid ball in my face. And nosebleed. Yeah. So I need to jump upwards and slam them both in the face. The two boys fell They're tingling their legs and causing the ball to jump upwards and slam them both in the face. Boys fell flat on their backs, stunned. The other children took the opportunity to snatch the ball and begin their own fights. Snatch the ball and take it further down the field. The other children on Keegan's team. That's something I've kind of tried to make clear, is that Keegan's team is really good, but he doesn't allow them to use their full potential in the game because he's trying to control it, protect the ball, and get it to the goal all himself, which is very Keegan. I'm going to check a text message real quick. Okay. Snatch the ball and take it further down the field. As Keegan blinked the world back into focus, he heard a familiar laugh roaring through the air. I don't think I need a comma there. Accompanied by clapping. He sat up quickly. Something that, you see, pausing as his head began to spin. I sat up quickly. The sudden movement, can't spell today, making his head spin. He turned in the direction of the laughter. and his face lit up with a broad smile. Father! He jumped to his feet. He stumbled and fell to the ground again. Thinking I should put a description of his father here somewhere. His face lighting up with a broad smile. Standing at the edge of the field. Tall man. Two men. One older, one younger. Both with horses. A tall man shoulders shook as he laughed loudly, while the younger man clapped his hands together, a grin turning up one side of his mouth. Father! Keegan jumped to his feet and took a few steps, then stumbled and fell over the ground. Oh, you know what? It would be funny. Jumped to his feet. Then tripped over Tori's legs and fell face first into the ground. Opportunity for humor. Ouch. And wiggled out from under Keegan. Easy to fellows don't want going back to others all or boys and helped them to their feet. The wind wrapped Keegan into a tight hug. around his father's neck and held him tightly. So glad you're home. And pulled back and looked at his father. Just happy you made it home. Hey. See, Keegan started to protest. I see an opportunity here for some character insight and development. Started to protest, but was suddenly cut off when a strong arm wrapped itself around his neck, putting him into a headlock. And allowing a calloused pair of knuckles to start. What would be a good word? Rub the knuckles across his head to dig into his scalp. Keegan thrashed wildly, finally pushing his brother's arm from off his neck, from around his neck. Stop it, Brayden, stop it. The younger man back. A smile, see, a handsome smile spreading from ear to ear. See, no, how about a smile spreading from ear to ear across his handsome face. Don't you miss me too? Crossed his arms. A small smile creeping onto his face despite his ire. Would ire be a good word? Synonyms. Synonyms. Despite his indignation. I'll change it later if I need to. Read through it. Well, I did miss you, but then you had to do that. Do what? Bragan asked. This? He reached out and no. He snatched Keegan into his arm. Snatched. Let me see. Snatched Keegan. He quick as lightning. He wrapped his arm around Keegan again, and no, wrapped his arm around Keegan, and once again, his knuckles into the smaller boy's head, though not as harsh, though not as deeply as the first time. Okay, so that kind of gives me a little more that I've done, and now I can reward myself by getting some chocolate milk. Like, I really need that. Hey, yes, I do need chocolate. Always need chocolate. So, anyway, that's a little bit of how gives you a little insight into how I write, and how I'm kind of playing out this whole rewriting thing for book 1. And I'm really happy so far with how it's turning out, how it's really helping to flesh out the characters and give the book some more life. I hope you guys like that too. Anyway, so I'm probably going to make more videos like this in the future, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, give it a thumbs up and let me know. So I'll catch y'all later. In the meantime, if you haven't read it, it's Tales of the Loveland, The Dragon's Son, and I like getting comments and input about it as long as you're polite and nice. I don't even mind critical stuff. Anyway, so y'all have a great day.